it's okay to turn off your camera, and we want to remind you that we do record these meetings. Please be present and participate and share the air. Okay, so as you can see, our 2020-2021 school year, we have Dr. Gomez as our principal, assistant principal, Miss Lorraine Pegorori, and Mr. Assistant Principal, Mr. Rob Velasco, okay? So thank you for joining us, and we're going to go ahead and begin with Coach Darren Spence. So welcome. Go ahead, Mr. Spence, who is our athletic director, head football coach, assistant track coach, and he is a social science instructor. Before he does anything. Go ahead.
I do have a full plate. Thank you for attending. I'll go through these briefly. I'm not going to read through every single thing. I'll try to just briefly go over it and cover the main points. And at the end, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll clarify any questions you might have, or give any more additional information that might not be included in this. So really in our sports programs, we're really talking about commitment. We want commitment from the student athlete to the program, from the student athlete to their teammates, from the student athlete to the coaching staff, and from the coaching staff, commitment from coaching staff to the student athletes. So the first and most important thing, obviously, is academics. Making sure the students are attending classes every day, attending on time, being focused, and working hard in their classes to complete all assignments and follow all directions. If there is difficulty in class, there's opportunities to create tutorials with their teachers, ask for help from them, to get help from a classmate who might be in the class that they're friends with, and get assistance from them or from another teammate that might be having a similar class with them. We do grade checks, and in some sports, they do weekly grade checks. I know that's what we do in football. And we encourage other sports to do at least weekly or bi-weekly grade checks accordingly. So that's just a commitment to the program. And, the main point of all this is to make sure the student athletes do graduate and be able to move on to whatever career they want and whatever path they want to go through. So a commitment from the student athlete to their teammates. All sports are team sports, even though you're doing individual things within them, sometimes whether it's wrestling or whether it's track, cross country, there's individual scoring, but there's also team scoring as well. So all sports are essentially team sports. So we're expecting all student athletes to attend team functions. If there's an absence or a tardy, they're expected to discuss it with their coach and let their coach know ahead of time if they can. Obviously, if it's a family emergency, you get to your coach as soon as possible. If you can send them an email or a text or something of that nature, just to give them a heads up and then talk to them later on. It's all about being just respectful. Being respectful, and creating a business-like atmosphere and preparing them for their future. When you get a job, if you keep missing work, they're going to fire you. If you're late all the time, they're going to fire you if you're not communicating with them. So we're trying to teach them those values that they can take forward in the rest of their life. Also, like I said, any activities, any personal family activities, try to organize them around school and athletics as best you can. I know sometimes that's not possible, but in the case of other activities that you're scheduling, please let the coaches know ahead of time. And like I said, hopefully, or at least talk to the coaches and, say, hey, what's a better day to do this on? And that's usually something that's pretty helpful. Commitment from the student athlete to the coaching staff. Most important, and this is a skill that you can take throughout the rest of your life, is being respectful. Talking with your coaches respectfully, talking with your teammates respectfully, talking with administrators respectfully. This is just all business practices that you take into your life. In any sport, no matter what it is, we expect student athletes to compete and hustle. Never quit at anything they do. Always be a competitor. Always want to do better. Always want to understand what you're supposed to do. But most importantly, never quit. That is a skill that is a huge skill to take in the rest of your life. There's been lots of times I personally have had situations in my life where they've been very difficult, and I followed that, policy of never quitting. And it's helped some of my athletes along the way as well. I had a student athlete one time that was in Iraq and was a soldier fighting in Iraq, and he was injured and he was almost on his deathbed, and he remembered the coaches telling him never quit. And now he's a coach and a high school coach and teacher in South Carolina. Athletes, eat appropriately, drink water, stay hydrated. Your body is a machine, and your machine will break down if it's not fueled properly. Stay positive. A positive attitude is a huge thing to have. We all have negative situations. We all have negative things that happen in our lives. It's how you respond to that negativity, which is really going to make you who you are. Commitment from coaching staff to student athletes. Us as coaches, we're committing to helping the students improve to be better people, to take on to the rest of their life. If you become a better person within your sport, you're going to become a better athlete. You're going to be more successful. And success is varied from person to person. Your abilities as an athlete will dictate how far you go and how much you are blessed with God-given abilities. We're going to help student athletes get to college by promoting positive academic habits and creating good work habits. And if they have the ability, we can promote them to coaches of colleges and things like that. But it all starts with the athlete first and having good positive academic habits and good work habits. And we also show our commitment to athletes by showing them that we care and that we have high expectations for them. We don't expect, the average. We expect them to work hard and drive themselves and work to get better. And sometimes that's hard, but you have to have high expectations to achieve your goals. These are the list. The CIF has given us a calendar of start dates for sports. Fall sports have been moved back to essentially December starting practices, and contests will start in late December, early January. Boys and girls cross country, anticipated start date for all the fall sports is December 14th. First contest is December the 26th. For football, once again, same start date, December 14th. First contest, official contest, is January the 7th. There is a scrimmage a week for scrimmage before that. And then girls volleyball, anticipated start date is the 14th. First contest is the 19th.
Okay.
For the winter/spring sports, badminton, basically the start date is when athletes are cleared to start practicing, when the gym availability starts to occur after volleyball. Their first contest is on March the 6th. And it's the same thing for all these sports. Baseball's first contest is March the 19th. Girls and boys basketball start date, first contest is March the 12th. Boys and girls golf start date is March the 20th. Girls and boys track start date is March the 20th. Girls and boys soccer start date, first start contest is the February the 27th. Boys and girls wrestling, first contest is March the 5th. Softball, first contest is March the 19th. Boys and girls swimming and diving is March the 13th is their first contest. And then boys and girls tennis, girls' first contest is February 22nd. Boys' first contest is March the 1st.
Okay.
Now we can answer any questions. One of the questions might be about clearance. We would like for athletes to get cleared as soon as possible. That process starts by going to athleticlearance.com, filling out all the required information, making sure that you have insurance. If you don't, there's school insurance that we can give you information on, but you definitely have to have insurance. Going to a doctor and getting a physical. You can see Dr. Dieterich, so we can give you that information to see Dr. Dieterich and set an appointment with him. He's willing to do it at a very reasonable price. And then once you get that physical done, and there's a physical form that you print off of athleticlearance.com. And if you, for some reason you can't get that, you can email me and I can send you that form. And once you get that form filled out, you can either scan it and email it to me, or take a picture of it and email it to me, or you can put it on athleticlearance.com and load it on there and just call and just send me an email and say, hey, I loaded it on here. What's the next thing? And then there's a form that you will have to, the parent and the student will need to sign, and then send that back to me for them to get cleared. And then I'll clear them and they'll be squared away to be able to participate in practice and sports. Are there any questions that I went through that really fast. So if there's something that you're like, hey, wait a minute, back up, I'll be happy to answer that question, or just any other general questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Yes. And please remember, during our time for question and answers, show kindness, patience, and respect. Give time for others, mute and unmute yourselves. And you can also type in your question in the chat box, okay? Thank you. Any questions? Please feel free to unmute yourself.
How do you know if the student is cleared? I will let you know. But the process for getting cleared is going on athleticlearance.com, filling that out, make sure you have insurance, making sure that you're filling in all the addresses and that other information. There's some other steps that you have to go through, and then get a physical. Email that physical form to me, and then there's one more form as well that you'll have to sign, and your student athlete will have to sign. And once that's signed, then they'll be cleared. And then you can just, and if you're not sure, just send me an email. Say, hey, Mr. Spence, my name's so-and-so. My student athlete is so-and-so. Are they cleared? And if they are not, I'll tell you exactly why. Like I had a student that I checked their form the other day, and for their physical, for their medical information, it asked for the medical number, and they typed in the emergency phone number to contact instead of the number that they need to put in. So I had to let that student athlete know that they need to put in the correct number on there.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else would like to type in their question or unmute themselves? Anybody? Mr. Velasco, you got anything else?
I have a question. This is including the ninth graders wanting to play football, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, Mr. Spence,
Yes, sir.
you answered my questions in the beginning. So
Okay.
regarding clearance and physical.
Yeah, I figured that was a question you were going to ask, so I figured I'd knock it off right away. So
Exactly. You and I, our brainwaves were on. We got it.
Any questions? If you ask, why am I bald? It's a trait from your father, not from your mother. All that stuff about it coming from your mother's side of the family is a lie. I have a 50-year-old cousin, a 60-year-old cousin who's got dreadlocks and a full head of hair, and it's on my mother's side, so it's a lie. It's from the father's side of the family.
I have a question, Mr. Spence. Can you give us the status of the field? It looks like it's almost done. What's the update?
Well, number one, they've been making great progress on it. They've done a phenomenal job on setting it up right now. So the next process that they're going through is they're going to plant the grass at some point pretty soon. But the next thing that they're laying down is the rubber for the track, because we have an all-weather track. So I noticed that the other day that they were setting up some parts of getting ready to lay down the rubber, the red rubber, which they might have put some down today. I don't know. I know they were doing some cleaning up of the asphalt the other day when I went by there. So the idea is, and I think I've talked to some people that the hopes is that the first couple weeks of November, the facilities will be done. It's going to be a great track and soccer and football facility. Like I said, it's an all-weather track. If you notice on the opposite end of the field over by the main street, I can't remember. I just brain.
Burritos.
No,
Baseline.
Yeah. Over by baseline, you'll see what's called the throws areas that are being set up for the shot put and the discus, and the discus net area that they've set up. It's a really nice, even semi-professional discus setup where the net's going to be set up, and so that throwing area is going to be really good. Our goal is to get a track athlete who's going to be able to try to throw the disc out on the feet, out onto the street, and that's a 200-foot throw. So I don't think we'll ever get there, but that's our goal.
Okay. We have a question. Would you please explain the difference between conditioning and practicing, and will they be able to begin conditioning sooner than December 14th?
We're hoping, and there's a process that we're going through right now to where we can set up conditioning. And the difference between conditioning and practice is you're able to use implements for your sport, such as for footballs and blocking bags and sleds and things like that. For volleyball, obviously volleyballs. And so when you're in practice, you're using those implements. And conditioning right now is just going to be something where we're trying to get the athletes in some type of physical shape. Some of them have been working out during the downtime, and many of them have not. And that's something that's disappointing. But we have to work on creating a culture for hard work and a great work ethic in our student athletes. And we're not where we'd like to be, but we're hoping that at some point in the beginning of November we'll be able to start doing some type of conditioning. and set out some protocols for safety, because ultimately the most important thing is the safety of our student athletes. No one wants to put our student athletes at risk or adults at risk, because the protocols that we've created and that hopefully will be approved are for the adults' safety as well. It's not just the student athletes, but we're trying to create a safe environment for adults as well, and keeping them protected as well, and just keeping a good positive environment for our young student athletes, so when it comes time to competition, that they're prepared both physically and mentally to be able to achieve the goals that we set for ourselves.
Great, thank you. That was a great question. Thank you. There's also, earlier there was a question about a student being in band and being in a sport at the same time. Do you want to go ahead and share your answer from earlier, Mr. Spence?
No, Rob can do that one.
Okay.
No, the question was, my child is in band, but my child also wants to play soccer.
Mhm.
And there's a possibility that they can conflict. Can they do both? So my answer to that is yes. However, knowing that we are condensing a lot of activities into one semester, there's going to be a lot of overlaps, a lot of conflict if a student is choosing to do band and a sport, or if another student is choosing to play two sports. However, what the student needs to keep in mind, and the family needs to keep in mind, is in band, you are receiving a grade for that class. And so it's going to require communication with the band teacher and the soccer coach to allow that student to participate effectively in both programs. You know, for the band teacher is not going to want the student to miss a performance because of practice. And the coach is not going to want the student to miss a important game. They're going to want them there instead of going to band. We are going to try to be as flexible as we can with our student athletes. If they want to play multiple sports and it's doable for the student, we're going to try to make it work. But at the same time, everyone has to be communicating with each other. The student needs to make sure they're taking care of their responsibilities. And if they can handle that, then the potential is there.
And then another question was asked in the last session about seventh period class. And that the seventh period class will create some marked difficulties, particularly in football, because with daylight savings, football practice is going to need to start right after school, because we're only going to have a certain amount of time, maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours of time. So if a student takes a seventh period class and now is not out until 4 and practice ends at 5 or 5:15, they're going to miss half the practice. That's going to be very difficult. In the sense that, they're going to be behind mentally, they're going to be behind physically. And my recommendation is, if they can avoid taking a seventh period class this year, and this year's is unique because of the situation we're in, because typically in football, it's during the fall, daylight savings a little bit later, so we start practice a little later. And that would be the case. What was that question again? Would football?
Yeah, would their schedule change if they want to join football?
Only if, what we would like for the student athletes, if they're going to play football, we would like for them to be in the 6th period weights, strength and PE, strength and conditioning class. And we would hope that they don't have a 7th period. Once again, if they have a 7th period, they're going to be behind mentally, physically. They're, to be honest with you, they're probably not going to play a whole lot. And they're just going to physically and mentally be behind. So it's going to be particularly difficult for football. And it might be difficult for other sports as well, depending on what time they start practice. Volleyball's in the gym, so that's not a problem as far as, depending on how Coach Bazuris does his practice schedules. And with Miss Dorsey and cross country, once again, that's another situation where they're outside, so it might be a difficulty with them. Their practices, are an hour, hour and a half, whatever they might be as far as cross country goes. So my recommendation is if your student athlete is a football player, I would really recommend they not take a 7th period this year, and that they try to get into 6th period strength conditioning. And the reason why 6th period strength and conditioning is so important is because we don't want them missing school to go to an athletic activity. And We don't want them missing an academic class. I mean, I teach history, and I've taught, honors and AP World History, and I've taught, during a 6-period class, and had students, had particularly softball athletes and baseball athletes that would have to leave like two or three times a week to go early to games, and that hurts them academically if they're not on top of their business. So we try to recommend as many athletes can be in 6th period as possible, and just to help them with their academics.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
I know some sports do cuts. I believe volleyball makes some cuts. I don't think cross country does. Football, we definitely don't make cuts. So we try to encourage as many athletes as possible to come out for football. And and you might go, what, when I say this, but I've coached girls in football before, and I think it's great. I think football is a great game. I think anybody who has love for the sport and wants to play, I encourage it. So we don't make cuts in football. We like to get as many student athletes out there as we can. Understanding that football is a unique sport. It's very physical. It's very physically and mentally demanding. There's a reason why they only play once a week, because it's so physically and mentally demanding. And when I say mentally demanding, it's, when you have 11 people on a field, they all have to be coordinated and know what they're supposed to do. And people always talk about how physical the game is. The game is very much mental. And you have one person out of place on a special teams play, on an offensive play or a defensive play, and it totally messes everything up. So it's very mental, and it's really important for student athletes to know where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to be and their responsibility. Just like, in soccer, they have plays, they set up plays, and everybody's supposed to be set up in a certain spot. Volleyball, everybody's got a certain spot to play, and they run plays in volleyball. And football is unique because you have 11 people on the field at one time, and then in the next series, you might have 11 different people on the field on the other side of the ball, or you might have a special teams play where you have 11 other different people on there. So that's why, once again, sports is important. It's teaching them that mental capacity as well as physical capacity, but you really have to mentally be on your game and know what you're supposed to do in every sport. And football in particular, obviously I'm biased as a football coach. Football in particular is, you have 11 people that have to be organized and have to know what they're doing. And one person, no matter what position they play, if they don't know what they're doing and they're not in the right place, they can totally mess the whole thing up.
Great, thank you for that information. Anybody else? Okay.
Mr. Velasco, if you'd like to say some words before we move on to our next.
Yeah, so I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Spence for being here at today's meeting. Thank you to Maritza Letty for putting on this wonderful meeting. Thank you to all the parents that came today to get informed more about sports and our program and where we're going. If you have any questions in the future, feel free to email me or Mr. Spence. We will reply and give you any updates that we can. We're being very optimistic and hopeful that we can return to sports soon. Our student athletes, all of our Aztecs need it. We want them out of the house. We want them doing other activities. So let's hope for the best, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And as you can see, Maritza has typed in both their email addresses. And you could also go to our school site website and look that up as well. You could always give us a call. So we're going to go ahead and thank you guys. And we're going to go ahead and continue. You're more than welcome to stick around and join us. Okay. So Maritza has some information she would like to share.
Yes, thank you. I am putting in the chat 2 links. One link is for an upcoming nutrition course that APU will be leading. It would be virtual, and it's 5 weeks long, and it will benefit you if you're looking to have a healthier lifestyle and choose healthier foods, or figure out what kind of snacks are healthier choices for your family, since we are spending more time at home. We get the munchies a little bit more. So this course is free, and those who complete the 5-week course and submit the survey will be able to receive a about $20 gift food voucher or gift certificate for a local grocery store. So we would encourage you, if you are able to attend or be part of this nutrition course. We're really excited about it. It's going to be in English and in Spanish. And the link is to join and submit your survey, which is like, it may seem a little long, but it's really just questions to get your understanding of how much about nutrition do you know, or what do you know about calories, or what do you know about healthy choices. And that will help us determine a little bit more where we need to direct in the presentations and the information that will be given during this course. And also, there are free flu shots coming up. You won't need to have health insurance to get these free flu shots. It's for those from 6 months of age till older. And the link that I provided is a form to get the flu shot a little faster. The form will be available at the sites that you go to, but if you want to go with the form already filled out, it'll save you some time. On Saturday, October 17th, from 9 a.m. to 11:30, you can make a reservation by calling 626-919-5724, and they will be giving out flu shots at the East Valley Covina Health Center. There's also going to be a flu shot workshop on the 24th, a Saturday from 9 to 12 at the West Covina Library. That one's closer to the mall, the West Covina Mall. And there's also going to be one at the Azusa Senior Center on October 30th, a Thursday in the morning. It's not from the senior center, but it's going to be in the area of the senior center, I believe the parking lot. So we will be sharing this information as well in our bi-monthly newsletter. So you can expect this information through email or by phone, so you can get a little bit more details, or you can also reach out to Letty and myself if you have any questions regarding the 5-week nutrition course or the flu shots. And Opal is also available to provide more information regarding the flu shots or any medical needs that you guys might have questions about.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. So now we have started the Family Center virtual drop-in hours, okay? That's where you guys can join us through the link, and I myself will be there every Monday from 12 to 12:30, and it's to help with you guys with any questions, any updates you guys would like to know about, how to resources, and I will also be joined by Opal from 211. She'll be joining us, so if you guys want to, it's not a meeting, it's just drop in. You know, you want to know your student's counselor, you want to know about Aries, let us know. And we will be more than happy to help you out with that information. So join us every Monday from 12 to 12:30. Like I said, Opal and I will be there. Maritza, pops in. Anybody can pop in at any time, okay? So thank you very much. We're going to move on to our next Cafe Azteca. Will be Thursday, November 5th at 3:30. Every first and third Thursday of the month. And we will have Maria Mejia from our district office. She's part of the Child and Welfare and Attendance Office. Also, as you can see, stay updated by following us on Instagram and Facebook, okay? 211, we have Opal. Hi, Opal. She's with us. Please don't forget to use her. She's a great resource for us and our community. So as you can see, her number is 626-607-3300, or you can email her. If she doesn't answer you, go ahead and leave her a message, okay? Because sometimes she can't answer all the phone calls, but if you leave her a message, she will get back to you. And if you need any assistance getting a hold of her, we can also help you out with that as well, okay? And as you can see, Maritza and I, there's our information, our email addresses, and our phone numbers to reach us. So any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. And we want to respect everybody's time and say just thank you to everybody for joining us. Coach Spence, Mr. Velasco, all you parents who take the time to join us on every third Thursday and first Thursday of the month. So thanks again for joining us. It's 4:00. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. We really appreciate you
Yes,
taking the
have a
time
great
to be here.
evening.
And if
Thank you.
any parent wants a recording of this video, we are uploading the recordings to the school website as well.
Yes.
Have a
So
great
thank you.
Friday Eve, and we'll talk soon. We'll meet soon. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you. See you, Luz. Hilda, Opal, thank you. Miss Castaneda, thank you for joining us, everybody. Appreciate it. Betty.
Bye, Letty. Bye.
Bye. See you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Let me